All right, so let's settle for the details now. We are live on X Spaces, on Facebook, on YouTube, and of course on majoreonline.com, and your comments are welcome. Let's start from the Office of the Special Prosecutor, because a lot is happening there this afternoon. Television host, former board chair of the Ghana Airport Company, Adom-Otchere, is currently appearing before the Office of the Special Prosecutor to answer for his role in a revenue assurance deal involving the Ghana Airport Company and a private firm, Evertech Ghana. Now, in a letter dated 25th July 2025, intercepted by Joy News, the OSP identified Adom-Otchere as a suspect in an ongoing investigation into alleged corruption and related offences stemming from a contract between the Ghana Airport Company Limited and a private firm belonging to the CEO of SML. Now, that investigation is happening now as we speak, but ahead of his appearance, Adom-Otchere, who is also host of Good Evening Ghana on Metro TV, put out this explainer on the matter, the reason why he's been hauled before the Office of the Special Prosecutor.
Let's begin with the letter that the OSP wrote to me. So this is the letter that the OSP wrote to me. It's here. It says that it's on 25th July and it's addressed to me, Adom-Otchere, former board chair, Ghana Airport Company. Direction to attend the Office of the Special Prosecutor. It says the Office of the Special Prosecutor, the OSP, has commenced the investigations into suspected corruption and corruption-related offences in respect of the Revenue Assurance Audit Services Agreement between the Ghana Airport Company, GACL, and Evertech Logistics Limited. You are considered a suspect in this investigation. Accordingly, you are directed to report to the Office of the Special Prosecutor located at 6 Haile Selassie Avenue, South Ridge, Accra, on Thursday, 31 July at 3 p.m. for an interview. You may be accompanied by legal counsel of your choice. So this is the letter that Kisi wrote, and this afternoon that he said we should appear. So when I got the letter, sometime yesterday or so, they called me. Somebody called from the OSP office. But they had called me, I didn't see it, so I called back as I usually do. And then somebody said, I'm from the OSP office. I have been looking for you to give you a letter, and they directed me to the airport. And I said, but what are you doing at the airport? I don't do anything at the airport. I'm not there. I'm in my office at Metro TV at Ridge. So bring it over. So they brought the letter over, and this was the letter. So quickly I sent it to the lawyers that OSPs had invited me, we need to go. And they said, oh, when has he said? I said, they said Thursday. And they said, Thursday we can't. Thursday we are busy. We have Court of Appeal in Kumasi and all that. Can we, what about Friday? I said, I don't know whether he can do Friday. And they said, well, the best thing will be Monday. I said, so how do we go about it? They said, okay, let's write to the OSP. So we wrote this letter to the OSP, indicating that we can't come today, but we can come on Monday, 3 o'clock, the same 3 o'clock. This is the letter we wrote. It's as follows. It's written from Akufo-Addo Prempeh & Co., the law firm, the letterhead. It's written to the Director, Asset Recovery and Management Division, Office of the Special Prosecutor, Haile Selassie Avenue. And it's the topic is direction to attend the Office of the Special Prosecutor, Mr. Adom-Otchere. We asked for Adom-Otchere. Your letter reference so and so. We have been notified by our client and received the letter with reference aforementioned, the effect of which invites our clients to your office in respect of investigations into suspected corruption and corruption-related offences concerning revenue assurance audit service between the Ghana Airport Company and Evertech Logistics. We write to inform you that we shall be unable to attend your office on the requested date of 31st July 2025 at 3 in the afternoon, and hence shall be unavailable to provide our clients with the legal representation so required by law. We consequently request that the meeting be rather fixed for Monday, 4th August 2025 at 3 in the afternoon. We are grateful and apologies for any possible inconvenience. The letter is signed by the lawyer. So we wrote this to the OSP. Now, the OSP, when he sent us the letter, then quickly leaked it to the media. This is what he does all the time. Leak to the media to try and create the impression that you have done something wrong. Oh, this is showboating. Every media must see everything. We didn't leak the letter. The letter came to us. And quickly he leaked it to the media. He didn't tell the media that we had requested. So when I granted an interview to Joy FM, I said that we had requested and then to shift the date. And then they brought this very brutal letter after that. This very, very brutal one. On 30th, yesterday, it says as follows. They wrote to Akufo-Addo Prempeh & Co. And it says direction to attend the OSP office. Listen to the language. Reference is made to your letter dated 30th July with reference number so and so, in which you seek to reschedule the suspect's appearance before. Okay. Please be advised that the office cannot, unfortunately, accept the proposed alternative date. The suspect is required to report as directed on 31st July at 3 p.m. at the Office of the Special Prosecutor located at Haile Selassie Northridge. While a suspect is entitled to legal representation of their choice, it must be understood that the law firm operates as chambers comprising multiple lawyers. In circumstances where a particular lawyer is unavailable, any other qualified lawyer from the same firm may represent the suspect without prejudice to his right to counsel. The Office of the Special Prosecutor is discharging a statutory mandate under the Office of the Special Prosecutor Act and does so with the expectation of full cooperation. Failure to appear as directed may amount to obstruction or non-cooperation, and the office reserves the right to take appropriate legal action, including compulsion measures in accordance with the law. For administrative purposes, it will be helpful for all future correspondence to be addressed to the special prosecutor through the undersigned. I don't know who is the undersigned. Who signed the letter? Okay, it doesn't show us who signed the letter. This is the letter that the OSP sent. By the time they were doing the media stuff, this is the letter that they had sent to me, you know. And everybody started calling me that, look, he wants you to come at 3 p.m. on Thursday. He will delay you so that there's no Good Evening Ghana. He will delay you overnight, and this is what he wants to do. And why does he want to do that? Because perhaps he has wind of some PDS petition that is going to him, blah, 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 that we are involved in. That's coming later. Okay, so now let's get to the substance of the letter. So what is the story about? What is the whole brouhaha story about? So in his letter, in the letter of the OSP, he says that the original letter, he says that he's investigating some revenue assurance, something like that. Okay. In my interviews, I wondered why a board chairman is connected with something that has to do with procurement and all that, because under the Procurement Act, board chairman is not a part of it. The Procurement Act doesn't mention a board chairman anywhere. But anyway, this is Kisi Ajabi and the OSP, so no problem. All right. So he says he's investigating something related to revenue assurance audit service of a contract between some company, Evertex. At the board at the Ghana Airport Company, sometime around 2022, the Ghana Airport Company needed money. I mean, there was not enough money in the system, so they needed money. So the board invited the minister to sort of discuss the fees and charges, whether the minister could go through Parliament and increase the fees and charges so that the Ghana Airport Company can make some revenue. The minister said no, he can't, because of the post-COVID Ukraine war. It's difficult to go and tell Ghanaians to pay more. So the board should find ways of raising more money, especially non-aeronautical. These are documented in terms of the policy to raise money through non-aeronautical. It's documented. What is non-aeronautical? If you buy a ticket, I buy a ticket, the airport company gets some money. That's aeronautical. Non-aeronautical is whether they deal in some land or they give somebody space to sell meat pie, or somebody is doing something, or other things that we can do, especially at the cargo area. See how we can get more revenue. All that is documented. So so we were looking for people who can help us in different ways to raise non-aeronautical revenue for the airport, because we're not going to get the fees and charges, because the government policy is that you can't do fees and charges at this time post Russia-Ukraine war. So somebody contacted the board and said that, look, you guys are losing money at cargo, and I can do it. My company can do it. So we said, okay, come to the board and come and do a presentation, which is very normal, very, very normal. So they came to the board to do a presentation and said that this is what we know and this is how it works. The board told them that, yes, you have told us what it is, but there's no real evidence. You haven't given us any evidence that, in fact, we are losing money. And then they said that to do that, we have to work with your management to come and tell you, because we need access to your systems. When we get access to your systems, then we'll be able to tell you in the things that are the revenue that's happened already. So today is July. They will take last year's revenue and show you that this revenue that you got 1 million cedis, you could have gotten 3 million cedis. This revenue that you have 2 million cedis, could have gotten 6 million cedis. So the management gave them that, and then they did that. And then the management brought them to the board the second time and said that people have finished their work, so let the board hear them. So the board heard them. And then they seem to know what they are talking about. They seem to show that, yes, revenue was lost and revenue can be gained. So the board told management that, okay, go ahead, which is also normal. The board tells the management, MD and your people, go ahead and work with them and report back to us. So they did, and they went to work with them. And then we continue our meetings. I had forgotten about it. I don't know anything about it. Then the management comes back that they finished with the people. They brought a proposal. It's a workable proposal, but it looks like the proposal, the people are saying that, well, I left something out. When the people said they wanted to do the audit, the original audit, we told them, and I in particular said it at the board meeting, that we can't pay any money The Ghana Airport Company cannot pay you any money at all to do this work. You have to find your own money to do the audit and come and convince us that we need the service. So they said, okay, they'll do that. They'll pay their own money. This is also in letters. In letters that they wrote that there will be no financial commitment from the airport company. Till today, there's no financial commitment from the airport company. Absolutely none. So they went to do the audit and came back, as I said, and then we were satisfied that they can do something. So management should continue to work with them. Management came back and said they brought a proposal and they are looking at it. However, what they are asking for in the proposal is that if they are commissioned to do the work, whatever money they gain for the Ghana Airport Company, on top of what we were getting already, they want 20%. So for instance, if they find that in the importation part of frozen food or something like that, airport was getting 1 million, but with their work, we now have 2 million, then there's 1 million that they have added to what the airport was getting, and they want 20% of that 1 million. So this was put before the board by the management, who dealt with them, the MD, who dealt with them on the documents. And then the board said, no, you can't have 20%. MD dropped them to 16%. So it was agreed. And then MD was told that, okay, go ahead and do the things you have to do. Those are due diligence, public procurement, and then get the document done. This was around November. So this is the last thing I heard about that process. Then December came, and then election came. And then soon after election, we were out. By January, we had resigned. All of us had resigned. I didn't know they had signed the contract. Some 10 days ago, Manasseh Azure called me that he's investigating this matter. And that is, so when the OSP came, all the lawyers were wondering, why are they working together? Manasseh Azure is one of the people you've been talking about. Kisia Jabe is one of the people you've been talking about. They seem to be working together for this, but I don't know, and it doesn't matter. Manasseh Azure called me and said that what's the Evertex contract? I said, what is that? He said, Evertex, the people doing quality assurance. I said, the people who do the thing SML does. He said, yes. Then I said, I don't know about it. I don't know where it's gone to. Then it was Manasseh Azure who told me that the contract had been signed by the managing director on 4th of December, 4 days or 3 days to election. And I said, well, okay, I don't know. I didn't know. This conversation is about 2 weeks ago. I didn't know whether the contract has been signed. I didn't find out whether the contract has been signed because it's not necessary. The board has finished its work. Whatever management does, if the management need the board again, they'll come back to the board. If there's a new board, management will come back to the new board and say, the old board did this is a problem we have, so resolve it. When the management is doing contracts, they are doing their PPA contracts under the law, they don't come to the board. They only come to the board when the threshold is beyond. So there are many contracts that the management does that the board doesn't know, they are not aware of. We don't have to be aware of it because the management is doing their work. But when they cross a threshold where the MD doesn't have capacity to approve this, then it comes to the board. So the board is merely there for approvals and also to initiate things that concern policy. So this is I didn't know that the contract had been signed. It was Manasseh Azure who told me that the contract has been signed. Okay, so the contract was signed, and now the Kisia Jabe and the OSP are calling people at the airport company. We've heard all kinds of things, telling them that did board chairman tell you to do this? Are you sure it's not board chairman who told you to do this? Very bizarre interviews that they've had over this matter. Everybody goes and they tell them, did you know the board chairman? Did the board chairman tell you to do that? And they come out telling their lawyers that, we don't understand. Why are they talking about board chairman? They've had conversations with the managing director. They've had conversations with most of the managers. They've seen the board minutes. Manasseh Azure has seen the board minutes. Letters that have been written about this issue from the company to the management. It is Manasseh Azure who tells me. And he sends me texts all the time. Those of you who saw me on YouTube, you heard me say that I've even sent him texts. Manasseh has sent me several questions. I've answered some. I'm still in the process of answering some. But now that the OSP seems to be looking at the same thing, then I'm assuming that perhaps they are working together, which is fine. There's no problem. They need to investigate. But public procurement matters have nothing to do with the board chairman. And I don't have any interest in any of the companies who came there. I don't know who they are. I don't know who is their friend, where they came from. But anyway, the OSP insists that we have to come there today at 3 o'clock. Every lawyer is telling me, look, they want you to come at 3 o'clock and then they will detain you. They may arrest you. They will say, go and bring this. They will say bail. And one lawyer told me that how much is the money involved in that? I said, there's no money involved. There's absolutely no money involved in it. There's no money at all involved. Airport has not paid a single money to anyone. Airport has not lost a single money. and the contract has been signed by the managing director. I asked Manasseh Azure that, when you saw the contract, did you see my signature? Did I witness? He said, no. I said, but if the managing director has signed the contract, the managing director has signed so many contracts with so many people that the board will not know about, because it is within her threshold and that of management to do. So that's why I told City FM and Joy, this is a pure witch hunt from Kissi Ajabe. But anyway, all I wanted viewers to know is that this is the story. And also Facebook people. So people want to know what happened. Kissi Ajabe says we cannot postpone it. We have to come to his office today. So we are going to his office today to see it, to listen to him and ask him these questions, and he will also ask us questions. Media people who want to cover it, you can come. I don't know whether it's allowed, public hearing is allowed. People have called me, can we come and cover it? What is going to happen? I don't know how they do the OSP work, but I'm going there with my lawyer, and then we'll be there to answer the questions. I'll let you know what happens. Everybody's telling me though that Kissi wants to arrest you and keep you there for the weekend to teach you a lesson because you've been talking about him. You have gone to write RTI about him. You said that he has bulletproof cars, and all of those things has hurt him. So he wants to come after you. Well, that's up to him. If that's what he uses the state authority for, it's entirely up to him. That's not my problem. I don't mind. I will continue to do my work, and to say anything wrong about whether it is Kissi Ajabe, whether it is X, Y, Z, W, V, we will have to say it, so long as we can provide the evidence for it. If it is his decision that because we have been talking about him, where there's no concern about board chairman, he will call people and ask them that, say that board chairman did this, say that board chairman, we want you to say that board chairman, we want you to say that, all that gamut of information that all the lawyers are telling me about. I don't know, the lawyers are telling me about it, that this is what is happening, because some of those lawyers have gone there with their clients and they say, tell me that they are saying, what did board chairman do? What did they tell us about this? Is the questions that the OSP wants to know. It's entirely up to you, Kissi Ajabe. It's entirely up to you. So 3 o'clock, we will be there, and hopefully we'll be back, and then we'll report to you what happened. This is what we wanted to do, just to tell you, so that people don't have a blank mind and they don't understand what is happening. They think something really wrong has happened. Absolutely nothing wrong has happened.
Right, and it's 24 minutes after 3. So as we speak, Mr. Paul Adom-Otchere, the former board chair of the Ghana Airport Company, is before investigators working for the Office of the Special Prosecutor. Remember, lawyers for Mr. Paul Adom-Otchere had sought to, postpone the appearance today, but that was rejected by the Office of the Special Prosecutor. And so that this investigation is ongoing as we speak on this particular matter. We've got our eyes there. We'll bring you more as and when we have it. Mr. Paul Adom-Otchere is currently being probed by the Office of the Special Prosecutor in relating to his tenure as board chair of the Ghana Airport Company, particularly on a matter involving the Ghana Airport Company and a private firm, Evertech, to undertake some financial assurance, operations there. Now, as we heard him in that video we just brought to you, which he put out this morning, he mentioned the name of investigative journalist Manasseh Azure in that broadcast. Now, Manasseh has refused to speak to this matter for now because he says that his investigation into the matter is yet to be published, and so he wouldn't want to grant media interview until the investigation is out. However, he's put out certain facts on his social media page. Let me bring you Manasseh's response to the matters raised by Mr. Paul Adom-Otchere in that broadcast that we just brought you. Right, so Manasseh Azure started by saying that I have watched your special morning edition of Good Evening Guy, and that's what we brought to you so that you understand what really is going on, in which you name me. And this is Manasseh speaking. Even as my investigation into the contracts is yet to be published, I wish to draw your attention to some few issues. And he says, yeah, I had engaged you on this matter, and we had exchanged questions and answers. You also said you had yet to respond to some of the questions I sent you. And this is true, according to Manasseh. And he says, I'm still waiting for your response to the question after the several promises and timelines you gave me. So Manasseh says, in distancing yourself, that is Paul Adom-Otchere, in distancing himself from the contract, you claimed on your show this morning that you didn't know the owners of the company that won this, that what he described as a shady deal. Paul, according to Manasseh, this is false. And Manasseh again says that Paul had admitted to him, not once but twice, that he knew the owners of the company from the very beginning. Manasseh says he's got evidence to this effect. He also said, I also have evidence that a year before the contract, the one which eventually won the contract, came to board meeting. Paul Adom-Otchere chaired, and Paul Adom-Otchere was the board chair of the Ghana Airport Company Board of Directors. And Manasseh said you had met those behind the company, and he says it is not true. It is a lie that Paul claimed that he didn't know the owners of the company that won the contract. And he goes on to say that you said, and when he said you, he's referring to Paul Adom-Otchere, you said that the contract does not involve paying money to the company. You again said that the company would only receive a percentage, 15% from any incremental revenue above the Ghana Airport Company benchmark revenue from the sector during the company's operations. And Manasseh claimed that this claim by Paul Adom-Otchere is misleading, and why? He says SML, which that entity that is also being investigated by the Office of the Special Prosecutor, has similar arrangement with the government, and they claim they only take a percentage from what they recovered or the incremental revenue based on their work. Now, by the end of 2023, the country had paid $141 million to SML, but SML, according to Manasseh Azure, could not point to a single recovery they had made, and therefore SML could not flag any. He said SML could not flag any oil marketing company for wrongdoing, and not even one, he says, but they have been paid according to Manasseh Azure, and they are also claiming credit for revenue increment from the sector, even after investigation exposed them, and the KPMG report corroborated his Manasseh's findings. As in all the revenue assurance contracts, the companies eventually made millions of cedis from the state, but without any evidence of recoveries in their audits. And according to him, this has been the case from Suba to SML. So it's misleading, according to him, to suggest that no payment is involved. These are just preliminary comments based on your release in which I was named. The story itself will review why the deal is a scandal and why you, Paul Adom-Otchere, the MD of Ghana Airport Company, and the PPA may need to answer some very critical questions. Thank you for your attention. So this is what Manasseh put out on his Facebook page, especially after Mr. Paul Adom-Otchere had explained his role in this particular matter. Now, the information we have is that the OSP is not allowing cameras into their offices, so we've got media persons who pitch camp outside the office. We'll bring you more details when Paul Adom-Otchere is done and out of the OSP's office. Let's take a short break here on the post and return with more on this developing story.
What we can say in Chi, we will say Nyame in Shram. In Ewe, we say Maud Nairam. In Ga, we say Mo Ajonye. In English, we say God bless you. Colleagues, the National Council, National Executive of the Ghana Journalists Association, all journalists and media practitioners across the country are distressed. We are worried because of recent happenings relating to our constitutionally guaranteed profession. Before I delve into the troubles that afflict us, permit me to, on behalf of the Ghana Journalists Association National Executive, commiserate with Pure FM for the devastating fire incident at the station in Kumasi. GJA solidarizes with the management, staff, and listeners of Kumasi-based Pure FM following the devastating fire that gutted the station studios last week, causing extensive damage to property and severely disrupting the station's operations. This unfortunate incident is a major setback not only to Pure FM, but to the wider media landscape in the Ashanti region and Ghana at large. As a station known for its commitment to credible journalism, vibrant discourse, and public service broadcasting, the loss of its studio facilities is deeply felt by the GJA and the journalism fraternity. As part of effort to show support and encouragement, I and my General Secretary, Dominic Lozi, paid a working visit to the premises of Pure FM in Kumasi to witness the extent of the devastation. The GJA calls on the general public, corporate institutions, philanthropic individuals, and media practitioners to support Pure FM in its effort to rebuild its studios and restore full operations. It is in such moment that solidarity and collective support are needed most to ensure the survival and resilience of independent media. We also commend the journalists and staff of Pure FM for their courage, professionalism, and perseverance in the face of adversity. The GJA stands firmly with Pure FM in this difficult time and will continue to offer all necessary support to see the station rise again, stronger and more resilient than ever. Grave concerns for press freedom in our beloved country. Colleagues, the GJA is deeply concerned and alarmed. Our anger is rising during this period over the persistent attacks on journalists in the course of their lawful and constitutional duties. These attacks are not isolated incidents, but form a troubling pattern of aggression, impunity, and blatant disregard for press freedom, media rights, and the rule of law. We want to say with no reservations that the role of the media as the fourth estate, a critical watchdog of society, is increasingly being undermined through violence, threats, intimidation, and security agencies' protected aggression. If this trend is not reversed urgently, it will corrode the very bedrock of our democracy. A string of attacks, mounting threats and violence. Over the past month, colleagues, the GJA has documented a growing list of attacks against journalists, including physical assault, arbitrary arrest, cyber bullying, and obstruction of reportage. And I take it again. Over the past month, the GJA has documented a growing list of attacks against journalists, including physical assault, arbitrary arrest, cyber bullying, and obstruction of reportage. We have counted 12 so far this year, which is very alarming and scary. In most of these cases, the perpetrators have either walked free or received minimal sanctions that do little to prevent reoccurrence. And colleagues, let me reiterate and let me say that the data available to us, the information and records available to us indicate that the average attack on journalists every year stands at 12. So if we have already recorded 12, even before the end of the 7th month, it is very, very scary and alarming, and it's very unfortunate. These attacks have taken place in parts of the country perpetrated by both civilians and uniformed security operatives. Journalists covering elections, crime scenes, protests, demolitions, and other public interest activities have been subjected to harassment, manhandling, and in some cases detention without legal basis. This environment of fear is a serious threat to democratic governance, and the failure to punish offenders sends a dangerous signal that violence against journalists is permissible in Ghana. The Adom-Otchere attacks on journalists. Ladies and gentlemen, colleague media practitioners, the GJA finds it baffling that weeks after a senior police officer was captured on radio attacking a reporter with EIB Network, Mr. Emmanuel Banayene, during the Adom-Otchere Parliamentary election rerun. We are yet to hear of the concrete actions taken by the police administration on the perpetrator of the act. Because apart from issuing two statements saying the officer has been interdicted and another that the officer has been charged, we are yet to evidently see that the said actions have equally been taken. Till today, the police has reluctantly failed to present the officer before court. This creates so much suspicion. This creates so much suspicion and also raise concerns as to whether the police truly charged this officer. It raises suspicion and so many concerns. A Joy News reporter of the multimedia group, Salome Nati, was also assaulted in Abrikumanov while she was diligently covering the parliamentary election rerun in the constituency. This was not only a personal assault, it was an attack on the Ghanaian public's right to know. Violence against a journalist during a democratic process fundamentally undermines the credibility of that process. It chills free expression, threatens transparency, and sets a dangerous precedent for future elections. We acknowledge the recent communication by the Ghana Police Service indicating that the officer involved has been charged. While this is a welcome step, the GJ insists that charging alone is not justice. Justice must be seen to be done through a swift, transparent, and fair prosecution that results in meaningful accountability. We urge the police to come out publicly on the identity of the two suspects they claim they have arrested and give detailed information of their arrest, as we have stated in the GJA request letter sent to them last week. And like I did mention, till today, the charged police officer has not been arraigned before court. And so let's ask ourselves, is the police being sincere and honest with us and the public? Okay. Now this is our demand. Demands to the police, to the Ghana Police Service. And the demand is tagged as time for action. Time for action. The GJ hereby demands from the Ghana Police Service as follows. 1. A detailed update on the status of investigations into all reported attacks against journalists across the country within the past 7 months. 2. A public report on the prosecution of the police officer involved in the Abrikumanov incident, including timelines and court proceedings. 3. Clear disciplinary action and sanctions against officers or individuals who have assaulted journalists, whether in uniform or civilian attire. 4. Specific measures the police service is putting in place to prevent future attacks and to train officers on respecting press freedom and media rights. 5. The police should do the needful by writing or responding to our formal request. We have formally written to the police requesting a full investigative report on all assault cases, including but not limited to that of the Abrikumanov elections rerun. And we need that to be done. We expect these demands to be met within 7 days from the date of this statement. And I want to reiterate, I want to take this again. We expect these demands to be met within 7 days from the date of this statement. Failure to do so will leave us with no option but to advise all media outlets across the country and our members to boycott all police-related activities and declare them as enemies of press freedom. If the police fail to adhere to our directive, this is what we are going to do. We will boycott all police-related activities and we will declare them as enemies of press freedom in the country. Magdan warehouse demolition, intimidation through detention. The GJ is also deeply troubled by the attacks and unlawful detention by national security operatives of Joy News journalist Carlos Kaloni and his cameraman who were covering the recent demolition of the McDan warehouse in Accra, owned by businessman Daniel Macaulay, popularly known as McDan. Mr. Kaloni was at the scene on Wednesday, 30th July 2025, documenting the demolition exercise and the growing tensions between civilians and men in military uniform. In a blatant show of disregard for media rights, the journalist was obstructed, hit at the neck, arrested, harassed, and detained while attempting to gather facts and report to the public. This arrest and detention were not based on any justifiable legal grounds. Rather, they appear to be attempts to suppress information and silence scrutiny of the demolition exercise. This is censorship through force and must be condemned in the strongest terms. We demand that the Ghana Police Service and the National Security provides a public explanation for the arrest and detention of Carlos Kaloni and his cameraman. Additionally, we request the immediate release of any findings or internal reviews conducted regarding the uniform officers involved. So any findings or internal reviews conducted regarding the uniform officers involved. The media must be allowed to report freely on public matters without fear of reprisal. We are public interest media, and we must stress that. And so we should be allowed to go about our duty without fear of favor and without fear of reprisal. Acknowledging the presidency statement, a step forward but not enough. The GJ takes note of the statement issued by the Office of the President, the Republic of Ghana, and signed by the Minister in charge of Government Communications, the spokesperson, Honorable Felix Kwachofusu, condemning the spate of attacks against journalists. The GJA appreciates the President's public stance on this critical matter and acknowledge the recognition of journalists as key actors in Ghana's democratic space. However, while we acknowledge the statement as an important symbolic gesture, we urge the presidency and the government as a whole to match words with decisive action. Ghana's international standard as a beacon of democracy may be at risk if those who attack journalists with impunity continue to go unpunished or are shielded by institutional silence. We call on the government to direct all security agencies to act promptly on reported cases of abuse against media personnel. Introduce clear policy measures and training protocols to ensure state actors understand and uphold media rights. And last, publicly support prosecutions and disciplinary actions against those who violate press freedom regardless of rank or political affiliation. Legal and constitutional context. Journalism is not a crime. Indeed, it is not a crime to be a journalist or to practice journalism. It is vital that we always remind ourselves that Article 162 of the 1992 Constitution guarantees the freedom and independence of the media. Also, the African Charter on Human and People's Rights and international conventions to which Ghana is a signatory, including the Universal Declaration of Human Rights and the International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights, all underscore the right of journalists to work without interference. When a journalist is attacked, arrested, intimidated, or harassed, it is not merely a personal harm, it is a constitutional breach. It is an assault on the public's right to know. It is an erosion of democracy. To this end, protecting journalists is not an act of kindness, it is a constitutional obligation of the state and its security agencies. The GJA's position going forward: zero tolerance for impunity. Zero tolerance for impunity. The GJA will not be silent or tolerant in the face of systematic violence against journalists. The association will no longer accept symbolic condemnations without action. We will no longer allow the work of journalists to be criminalized under the pretext of national security or public order. If the Ghana Police Service fails to act decisively within the next 7 days, as already stated, the GJA, in consultation with key stakeholders, will announce a nationwide media blackout of all police activities. We will instruct our members to withhold coverage of police events, refuse participation in police press briefings, and suspend all forms of editorial engagement involving the police. This is not a threat, and I want to reiterate that, Mr. IGP and your men in uniform, this is not a threat. It is a necessary action to defend the dignity and safety of every Ghanaian journalist, and we shall do that. A major worrying trend happening now is the usage of our security agencies in causing harm and meting out brutalities to journalists. So we ask, are these frequent attacks on journalists under a precedent we can confidently and boldly say is our own? Because as we speak, the president is still a proud paid-up member of the Ghana Journalists Association who shares in the pain and plight of journalists. I would like to take this opportunity to remind our esteemed member, the president, of how far we have come in our pursuit of press freedom, and any attempt to take us back will not be accepted. Ladies and gentlemen, it is becoming clearer by the day that politicians pay lip service to attacks and lip service to attacks and the safety of journalists. It is our prayer that we will not be pushed to the extent where we will be considering total media blackout in the country. Again, the military should understand that failure on their part to expose and sanction the said perpetrators of this crime will also have damning consequences, and we will embarrass them. If the military fail to expose the members, the officers, the soldiers in uniform behind these perpetrators, CDS and Chief of Army Staff, we are not just serving notice. We are not threatening. We have done our homework and we are prepared. If you fail to do so, we shall embarrass you. We will come out boldly and expose your men. Our general resolve: legal accountability. 1. Personal lawsuits. The GJA shall, through its legal team, file civil assault cases personally against officers who attack journalists. We shall not shield or allow state protection for individual misconduct. The perpetrators shall be sued in their personal capacity to bear full legal consequences. 2. Human rights petitions. We shall collaborate with human rights bodies locally and internationally to document and pursue justice for each assaulted journalist. Diplomatic sanctions. Engagement with embassies. Formal communication shall be sent to key embassies, including the United States, United Kingdom, Canada, Germany, France, and the European Union delegation in Ghana, urging them to: 1. Deny or revoke visas of identified security officers who have attacked journalists. 2. consider such individuals as security risks and enemies of press freedom. For UN and international bodies, the GJA will write to the United Nations, UNESCO, the African Union, and ECOWAS to 1. Deny all international postings, assignment, and peacekeeping opportunities to known violators of media rights. 2. Demand sanctions and blacklisting of such officers from serving in international missions. Administrative pressure. Petition to security councils. The GJA will petition the Ghana Armed Forces Council and the Police Council requesting that officers who attack journalists be disqualified from promotion and subjected to internal disciplinary proceedings. In 1, monthly front pages of major newspapers. 2, key online news platform for a period of 1 year and all over social media platforms. 3, notice board of all media houses. Notice board of all media houses. And these individuals will be labeled enemies of democracy and press freedom. Enemies of democracy and press freedom. We therefore urge or call on the Ghana Armed Forces to furnish us or publish the full details of the soldiers involved in this unfortunate act within 7 days. 7 calendar days. Press Freedom Watch List. The GJA will launch a Press Freedom Blacklist, publicly naming all individuals and institutions involved in the repression of journalists in Ghana, and share same with our international partners. And if I say international partners, I mean Federation of African Journalists and International Federation of Journalists, who are much concerned about the safety of journalists. Solidarity and a call to civil society. Solidarity and a call to civil society. We call on all civil society organizations, especially TUC, Ghana Bar Association, that's GBA, religious bodies, human rights institutions, and the international community to stand with the media in this crucial moment. When society is silent, whenever journalists are attacked, that is a loud message of complicity and an endorsement of criminality. The GJA urges all stakeholders to add their voices to this call for justice and accountability. We also encourage the public to appreciate the vital role journalists play in society, not just as informers, but as defenders of truth, transparency, and public interest. Insecurity in parts of Ghana. Insecurity in parts of Ghana. Colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, the association is deeply concerned over the rising incident of insecurity in some parts of the country, particularly in Boko in the Upper East region, in Kwanta in the Oti region, Ashaman in the Greater Accra region, and Asawase in the Ashanti region. These recurring episodes of violence, ethnic tensions, and armed attacks continue to threaten the peace, cohesion, and security of affected communities and pose a significant threat to national stability. The more disturbing one is the killing of innocent school children. And I stress on that, the more disturbing one is the killing of innocent school children while they are in school. And as you all know the story, these children were brought out of their classrooms and shot that killed these innocent children or students. very disturbing and unfortunate. The GJA joins the peace-loving people of Ghana in condemning the lawlessness and acts of violence in these areas, which have claimed lives, displaced residents, and disrupted socio-economic activities. We strongly urge all individuals and groups behind these disturbances to lay down their arms and embrace dialogue and peaceful coexistence. It is often said that the path to lasting peace is never built on bloodshed or distraction, but on mutual respect, negotiation, and understanding. While we applaud the vigorous effort of our security personnel in responding to this volatile situation, we believe more can be done to anticipate, prevent, and swiftly contain such threats. We therefore implore the Ghana Police Service, the Ghana Armed Forces, and the various regional and district security councils to adopt a proactive and intelligent-led approach to conflict prevention and resolution. And the word is intelligent-led. It assumes that the intelligence of our security agencies are broken down. The intelligence unit. Because if our intelligence is strong, even after killing the chief at Aswase, we shouldn't record subsequent cases or killings. And we think that the Ghana Police Service and the Ghana Armed Forces, as well as the various regional and district security councils, should adopt a proactive and intelligence-led approach to conflict prevention and resolution. We acknowledge the government's recent directive to complement traditional peacekeeping with a more robust enforcement of law and order in areas like Boko. This is a step in the right direction. Where lives are being lost and communities destabilized, the state must act not only to mediate, but to restore order decisively. And the word is decisively. We call on the National Security and the Interior Ministry to deepen engagement with local stakeholders, traditional authorities, youth groups, and civil society in order to address the root causes of these disturbances and to create sustainable peace architecture in these conflict-prone zones. Call for professionalism among journalists in conflict reporting. The GJA takes this opportunity to urge all journalists and media practitioners across the country to uphold the highest standards of professionalism, ethical responsibility, patriotism in reporting on conflict situations, particularly in regions experiencing protracted violence and social instability. The media has a critical role to play in times of conflict, not just in informing the public, but in shaping narratives that either inflame tensions or promote peace and reconciliations. The GJA strongly encourages journalists to exercise caution, accuracy, and sensitivity in the choice of language, sources, and images used in conflict reportage. We must be guided by the principles of truth, fairness, and national unity. Conflict reporting must not become a tool for ethnic profiling, political manipulation, or incitement. Rather, it should contribute meaningfully to peace building, conflict resolution, and national development. The GJA hereby warns journalists and media houses against contributing to the conflict in those areas through the spreading of disinformation, promoting hate speech, or using their platform to incite violence. Such conduct does not only tarnish the image of the noble profession, but also undermines national peace. Let it be known that the GJA will be the first to support law enforcement agencies in applying the full rigors of the law against any media practitioner who is found culpable in framing conflict through irresponsible or dangerous reportage. The association will not shade any journalist who breaches ethical standards or violates national security laws under the guise of press freedom. The association believes in media freedom, but we also believe in media responsibility. We should know that press freedom is not absolute. It comes with responsibility. The survival of our democracy depends not only on the freedom to report, but on the responsibility to report ethically and constructively. Let us report not just to inform, but to heal, to unite, and to build. GJ's encouragement to journalists. We encourage all journalists to stay fearless. The GJ stands solidly behind every journalist who continue to serve Ghana with integrity, courage, and a commitment to truth. We will continue to defend every journalist. We will not relent in our fight to ensure that you work in safety and dignity. In conclusion, we want to repeat what we have been saying with clarity and firmness, that journalism is not a crime, and attacks against journalists are attacks against the soul of democracy. We expect swift, tangible, and transparent action from the Ghana Police Service and the security agencies. Our demands are justified and our patience is fading. While we say zero tolerance for attacks, we will not be quiet, we will not be intimidated, and we will not allow the enemies of press freedom to win. Thank you, and may God bless journalists across the country.
So that was the president of the Ghana Journalists Association, Albert Kwabena Jomfo, making some demands on the Ghana police, the military, the presidency, and of course on journalists as well. We have reaction from this news conference. But first, let me take you to Parliament, where the leadership, that's the minority leader and the majority leader, are wrapping up debate on the media review of the budget. First is Alexander Afenyo-Markin, the minority leader.
System which became known as the Kufuor Bus. Mr. Speaker, today, we see the NDC, 7 months in office. They have not come out with any productive social intervention program to give hope to the Ghanaian people. We therefore demand that they restore economic sanity through transparent foreign exchange auctions, expand the gold for oil reserve program, eliminate artificial exchange rate manipulation. We also demand of them, through their trade ministry, that they should reinstate the 1D1F program to create opportunity for businesses. The Agenda 111 hospitals, they have to continue to let these hospitals be completed. And again, instead of relying on galamsey activity as a way of growing the economy, they should restore agricultural transformation. Mr. Speaker, government must also strengthen diplomatic relations with strategic partners, restore impartial justice, pay contractors promptly, and create safe environment for business and investment. Mr. Speaker, I need repeat here. Illegal mining is going on and it's affecting our nation. The time has come for this government to rise to the occasion and walk the talk and protect our environment. Mr. Speaker, we, the minority, have a duty to set the record straight, and we will systematically dismantle the misleading claims and omissions in the minister's presentation. Using facts and historical context, we will demonstrate how many of their touted achievements in the last 6 months are either continuation of the policies laid down by the previous NPP administration or simply unearned credit claimed by the new government. We cannot allow false narrative to take root. Ghanaians deserve the truth about our fiscal health, inflation trends, currency stability, employment situation, social programs, debt management, and taxation policies. I need to remind them that upon assuming office, a directive was issued by the Chief of Staff, which directive led to thousands of jobs being lost. Many Ghanaian youth who had been employed were sacked, and an attempt to raise the matter on this House floor was resisted by the majority. Mr. Speaker, let us be clear. The story of Ghana from 2017 to 2024 was one of significant progress. And though tough decisions had to be taken amidst global and domestic challenges, we all saw that within half a year, this NDC, blaming the MPP for all economic woes, yet taking credit for the groundwork laid before. Mr. Speaker, we will address major claim in 10, exposing again the inconsistency, highlighting the true drivers of Ghana's recent economic development. Mr. Speaker, the mid-year review attempt to paint the former MPP government as fiscally reckless, citing, quote, balloon deficit, unquote, arrears of 6 billion in unpaid bills and 194 billion in contract commitment. Yet, yes, Ghana's deficit did spike in 2020, we admit, but context matters. Context matters. A global pandemic forced emergency expenditures and a banking sector cleanup to protect millions of depositors. These were extraordinary interventions, not wanton profligacy. If that money that today you claim is 60-40 had not been pursued, where would Ghana be? You mess up the economy, you mess up the banking sector. The billions that went to your financiers that you couldn't take steps to protect. Today, you claim that we mess the economy. The evidence is there, and you've exposed yourself. 60-40 is what you are called on the street of Accra. 60-40. 60-40 is your new name. 60-40. Give me 60, take 40. That is your new name. In fact, Mr. Speaker, the MPP government reduced the deficit sharply upon taking office from 9.3% of GDP in 2016 down to about 6% in 2017 and kept it near 5% through 2019. The 2020 deficit of 17% of GDP was a one-off crisis response mirrored worldwide, which saved lives and jobs. It is disingenuous for the finance minister to label that life-saving effort as reckless spending. Let us also correct the record on Ghana's public debt and the claim of alleged insolvency. It is true that debt to GDP rose under MPP, no doubt, we admit, from 56% in 2016 to around 80% in 2022. But what drove these? We inherited significant legacy costs, such as the energy sector debt from their take or pay. They didn't analyze the contract, they didn't scrutinize, and they signed a take or pay contract and left it for a new government to inherit. These power contracts that were signed under the previous administration hit the economy, and it was a drain on public purse. I challenge them to rise to rebut this. We also weathered the external shocks. COVID-19 borrowing to cushion the economy and steep cedi depreciation as global investors pulled back, and they know that. Crucially, we put those borrowed funds into productive use, investing in infrastructure, education. They left their e-blocks, we completed them. Industry and social programs that benefit Ghanaians today. If the state's finances were strained, it was in the course of building for the future and cleaning up of the mess, not to wanton waste. Moreover, Mr. Speaker, we took responsibility for tough reforms to address debt issue. We initiated the IMF-supported recovery program in 2022 and undertook a painful domestic debt exchange program. Mr. Speaker, they lambasted us on this. We paid a high price. We are in opposition. But today, that painful decision that came at a cost to us is what you are relying on to build the economy. Can you deny that? Mr. Speaker, the finance minister boasted that our debt to GDP ratio is at a 5-year low and that the public debt dropped by 113.7 billion in 6 months. Mr. Speaker, this is very misleading. The reality, however, is that no significant amount of debt has been paid off by this government. The statistical drop in debt ratio is largely due to the debt cancellation and restructuring achieved under the previous government, combined with the cedi's appreciation effect. We ask the minister, exactly how much of Ghana's public debt has this government repaid to claim credit for the reduction? The answer is inconvenient, virtually none. Ghana's debt improved because the MPP did the heavy lifting, including a historic external debt operation that achieved $5 billion outright debt forgiveness and $4.7 billion in debt service savings. That is real debt reduction. The current administration merely stepped into an improving situation which was engineered by its predecessors. Mr. Speaker, to further buttress this point, let us recall that under MPP stewardship, Ghana never defaulted on external debt until 2022 crisis hit at the tail end of our term. We consistently met debt service obligations until an unprecedented combination of events forced a brief halt. Even then, MPP swiftly devised solution, the Energy Sector Levy Act, to systematically pay down energy liability, fiscal responsibility law, capping deficit at 5% of GDP to instill discipline, and the debt exchange to restore sustainability. These are actions of responsible government, and we are proud we took such decisions, not a reckless one. The media review blasts our administration for high debt, but conveniently omits that by end 2024, Ghana's debt to GDP had actually fallen to about 70.5%. This decline was the fruit of the painful haircut and fiscal adjustment we undertook to reset the economy. Again, we take responsibility. We say sorry to Ghanaians. We had to take a painful decision to implement this, but you are taking advantage of these painful decisions without giving credit to us. Who is hypocrite in this matter? You are the one found wanting, and indeed you are the political naysayers. You engage in double standard, and you are engaged in political hypocrisy. In short, the MPP cleaned up a grave situation, and now the new administration touts the cleaner floor as if it were their own accomplishment. What have you put in place? None. Mr. Speaker, let us address the narrative of wasteful spending under the NPP. The minister derided the former government's expenditure as waste, yet we recall vividly that in 2020, the same NDC was loud, calling for a greater expenditure on COVID-related activities to alleviate hardship. They said so in this very chamber. They talk of debt unsustainability today, but their solution so far has been to go back to the IMF and rely on new borrowing under stricter conditions. The truth is that the MPP invested in Ghana's future. We rolled out transformational policies like the free SHS, built roads, 13,000 kilometers of roads. Mr. Speaker, for emphasis, we introduced transformational policies to build the human resource capacity of our youth, such as the free SHS. Why are you quiet? We built 13,000 roads across the country and initiated the 1D1F to stimulate economic growth. Mr. Speaker, those investments are yielding dividends for our people. Meanwhile, the current government enjoys an IMF lifeline and fiscal space created by MPP's difficult reforms. They should be thanking the previous administration and not lambasting it. Mr. Speaker, the finance minister boasts that inflation has plunged from 23.8% in December 2024 to 13.7% by June 2025, implying some miraculous stabilization by the new administration. Mr. Speaker, Ghana's inflation story requires a longer lens. Yes, inflation is down from its peak, and that is good news for everyone. But we must remember why inflation spiked in the first place. and how the trend was already reversing before January 2025. The reality check is that, Mr. Speaker, Ghana's inflation soared in 2022, peaked at over 50% year-on-year by December 2022, the highest in 22 years. This was not because of domestic fiscal indiscipline. It was largely imported pain, global supply shocks, COVID-induced supply chain disruptions, a surge in international oil prices, and the Russia-Ukraine war impact on food and fuel. Mr. Speaker, if this claim by us and will not shift, if this claim by us is unacceptable to our colleagues who are now in government, then I ask, why did President John Dramani Mahama recently say that the situation in Middle East would have effect on the economy? Therefore, he is inviting the finance minister and the energy minister to sit together to review certain government policies. If international shocks have no effect, why did the president complain that the Middle East crisis is having an effect on the economy? What a shame. Mr. Speaker, we saw transport fares up. We saw the price of imported foods going up and stable prices surged worldwide. Ghana, being a small open economy, could not escape this wave. Mr. Speaker, the minister's own figure of 23.8% in December 2024 reflect this progress. To put this in perspective, pre-crisis inflation under MPP was lowest in decades. We ended 2019 at just 7.9% inflation, well within single digits. So while 13.7% in June 2025 is certainly much improved from the height of 2022, which we admit, it is not some unprecedented for a 4-year low, as the minister suggests. In fact, it is higher than what we achieved in normal times before the global crisis. And what has changed in 2025? The sharp disinflation is the first half of 2025. It's largely a continuation of the trend that MPP set in motion under the IMF program and our economic recovery policies. With stable fuel prices globally and the cedi regaining some strength, prices of imported goods began to ease. The minister himself admits that the recent inflation drop, quote, is not by chance or sheer luck, unquote. Indeed, this was by design of policies that began under the Nana Addo Akufo-Addo government. Mr. Speaker, it was MPP that negotiated the IMF support package, which restored investor confidence and unlocked funding. It was MPP that started the Gold for Oil program to moderate fuel prices, and it was MPP's fiscal adjustment that reined in excess liquidity. But to claim, so credit or trumpet it as a vindication of 6-month work is premature. Ghana's inflation was already coming down, and the global condition provided a tailwind. There has been no bold new anti-inflation strategy from the current government beyond sticking with the IMF-guided path set earlier. Let us also recall that Ghana's longer inflation history for this House. Mr. Speaker, under the previous NDC government, that is 2012 to 2016, inflation was often run in mid-teens and even surpassed 17%. At one point, Ghana faced hyperinflationary pressures. Indeed, going back further, we had over 40% inflation in 2000 and had to redominate the cedi in 2007 due to cumulative high inflation eroding the currency's value. In the year 2000, the government in power was your party. It was NDC, and you took us to a 40% inflation. Now, those storms are passing. Inflation is naturally receding. The NDC cannot credibly claim to have fixed the inflation in 6 months, when the truth is that in Ghana was already healing. We caution that the 13% inflation is still higher than our pre-crisis norm. there is more work ahead to bring it fully into single-digit target band. That work requires consistency, prudence, not celebratory lapse after just half a year. I urge the finance minister, release monies to your ministers. Your ministers are idle. Your ministers are not working. Release their allocations to them. Pay their contractors. Mr. Speaker, the media review makes much of the Ghanaian cedi performance, with the minister jubilantly declaring cedi no apeke. He even claimed the recent cedi appreciation has never happened in the history of the country. Mr. Speaker, let's analyze this carefully. It is true that in the first part of 2025, the cedi strengthened against major currencies, an undoubtedly positive development, and we admit. But what are the underlying causes, and is this sustainable, I ask? First, context of 2022 must be highlighted. Yes, the cedi was one of the world's worst performing currencies that year, depreciating steeply, at one point losing over half of its value. It's a matter of public record. But again, this does not occur in isolation. I dare argue. In 2022, virtually all emerging economies fell short sharply against a surging US dollar. Emerging economies and their currencies fell short of the US dollar. Several Federal Reserve aggressive rate hikes made the dollar strong in decades. As I've already mentioned, the Ukraine conflict drove oil and commodity import costs up, sucking foreign exchange out of countries like ours. Ghana also faced a momentary loss of investor confidence before the IMF deal, which hurt forex inflows. In short, the 2022 was a storm for the cedi, and I concede. But I dare argue that despite all of this, the MPP government stabilized the cedi in 2023. After reaching its weakest point in late 2022, the cedi slide was arrested and partially reversed. The key was restoring confidence, securing the IMF agreement in 2023, commencing the debt restructuring, which signaled to markets that Ghana was addressing its debt and innovative policies like the gold for oil, where we battered gold for oil for fuel to reduce forex demand. By end 2024, the cedi depreciation has slowed dramatically. It was down only by 19% year on year against the dollar, a marked improvement from the free for all earlier. So when the new government took over the reins of affairs in January 2025, they inherited a stabilizing currency, not a perpetually dwindling one. Mr. Speaker, the cedi depreciation, now the cedi's appreciation in 2025. Indeed, from January through to June, the cedi strengthened significantly, with the minister tout as unprecedented. We do welcome a stronger cedi. We on this side welcome a stronger cedi. It eases the burden on import costs and brings some price relief to Ghanaians. However, claiming this as a proof of some unique NDC prowess is misleading. Several factors have contributed to the cedi's rise, and they are not purely the result of fresh political genius. A major factor is renewed investor confidence and inflows on the back of the IMF program and improved fiscal outlook, a trajectory set in motion last year. Another factor is Ghana's record high gold exports and remittances in late 2024. Mr. Speaker, let me remind the NDC, whereas they have denied the successes of MPP in laying the foundation, they have quietly indicated that in their report to the IMF. That is why recently the IMF exposed you, that you have acknowledged that the stability you find today is as a result of the foundation laid by the Akufo-Addo government. Why did you refuse to acknowledge it in the dispatch box, but wrote a letter to the IMF to admit this? Mr. Speaker, These inflows from the IMF shored up our reserves. By end 2024, Ghana's gross international reserves stood at $8.9 billion, a healthy buffer, well ahead of IMF targets. The minister in mid-year review proudly announces that reserves have further risen to $11.212 billion by June 2025. What he failed to clarify was that the $8.9 billion of that was inherited from the previous administration's efforts. The new addition in the first half of 2025 was just about $2.2 billion. Significant, yes, but not miraculous, given favorable trade winds and carryover programs. Crucially, Mr. Speaker, the Bank of Ghana's heavy intervention in the forex market has played an unsustainable role in propping up the cedi, and this the IMF has pointed out. Yet you are quiet. Despite earlier denial, it took the IMF to reveal that the first quarter of 2025 alone, the BOG injected $1.4 billion of reserves into the market to support the cedi. Have you told Ghanaians this? Was this included in your media report? This kind of artificial support, effectively using scarce reserves to boost the cedi, can only be a short-term strategy. Indeed, the IMF has cautioned our government about the sustainability of this approach, urging that we reduce BOG's footprint and allow greater exchange rate flexibility going forward. On the ground, many importers and businesses will tell you a sobering truth. While the official interbank rate has shown a strong cedi, dollars have become scarce in the open market. A wide arbitrage has emerged. The cedi appears stronger on paper, but it is difficult for businesses to actually obtain forex at those rates. As one of my colleagues, Mr. Speaker, aptly put it, cedi no apeke, but Abochi has a dollar. The point is that the real economic strength comes from a currency's purchasing power, not just the exchange rate on a given day. This government must hear this. Mr. Speaker, in contrast, consider the currency stability under the MPP's first term. That's 2017 to 2019. During the period, the cedi's annual depreciation averaged around 8 to 10%. A remarkably stable performance compared to the 18 to 30% annual slides seen in the previous NDC era of 2012 to 2016. There were even stretches where the cedi was one of Africa's more stable currencies under Akufo-Addo's administration. We achieved this through disciplined fiscal management and innovative schemes like forward forex auctions and improved exports. It was only when external crisis hit that the cedi wobbled, and when they did, MPP was innovative. Mr. Speaker, now let me turn to their so-called 24-hour economy. They claim that they have introduced something they call 24-hour economy. They've touted it as a transformational plan to run Ghana's economy around the clock, spanning 8 pillars from Grow 24 to Connect 24. On paper, it promises 1.7 million jobs in 4 years and a productivity reboot. However, Mr. Speaker, this rhetoric of a nation that Ghana never sleeps collides with Ghana's own on-ground realities. Few African cities truly operate 24/7, and Accra is nowhere near a New York or Dubai. What we expect is for the government to make investment in the private sector, but there are no such signs. All they know is to focus in promoting Galamsey. Tripling daily operating hours in key sectors sounds impressive, but visibility is questionable. Ghana's economy cannot be willed into 24-hour cycle by slogan. It requires concrete capacity that currently seems lacking. There is a lack that this grand vision remains largely rhetorical. with little change on the factory floor or the farm gate beyond normal business hours. A glaring weakness of this 24-hour economy program is its heavy reliance on financing that may never fully materialize. The initiative cost is pegged at around $4 billion, yet government is only committing $300 to $400 million as seed capital. The rest is expected from the private sector, a lofty assumption in Ghana's current climate. But I dare ask, what are the incentives for the private sector? A situation where instead of creating jobs, you are sacking our youth from having their jobs. Then you say you are creating jobs. What foundation are you mounting this vision on? Mr. Speaker, this country must not be subjected to PR gimmicks and political rhetorics. We want action, and the NDC must know that the clock is ticking. We do not have time. Your 4 years, almost 7 months gone. Time is not on your side. Do something before the people boot you out. Mr. Speaker, even if money is found, implementation bottlenecks abound. A 24-hour economy needs reliable 24-hour power supply. Do we have a reliable power supply? Since you came, doomsday is what we see. The minority has suggested to this government that pursue reforms at ECG. Reforms were started. Pursue, and we will support you. What you are instead doing is coming out with new levies, because that is a convenient way. We want to tell you that if you are serious about this 24-hour economy, your duty is to undertake reforms and focus on agriculture. What you are doing will take you nowhere. You cannot continue to impose levies. At ECG, you started with 14% and then ended with another 2.7%. Then you came with another doomsday levy, all in an attempt to resolve the crisis. Yet, the key thing to pursue, which is a reform, you have abandoned it. Are you serious, or you are still in rhetoric? Mr. Speaker, now they claim a certain big push, and they have selected certain roads that they claim that these roads will be constructed. Mr. Speaker, we wish them well. However uneven we found these to be, at least we want to give you the chance. Let's see how you roll them out in the next 6 months. Mr. Speaker, we call on the NDC to acknowledge the investment that were made in the educational sector. Happily, Dr. Educhum is in this chamber. The investment made by he and Matthew Opoku Prempeh as sector ministers. Mr. Speaker, in the education ministry, not only did we roll out the free SHS, we also, Mr. Speaker, came up with a TVET, make sure that the TVET was free, and also introduced a STEM program. Mr. Speaker, you may have to. Mr. Speaker, today.
Honourable member just address the chair.
Very well. Mr. Speaker, to date, over 3.1 million Ghanaian students have benefited from the free SHS. They've gained access to education, a thing that many Ghanaian youth never dreamed of. Mr. Speaker, the NPP must be commended. Mr. Speaker, we would want to conclude by urging the NDC. You have an opportunity to govern. Focus on governance. Create a Ghana that is an opportunity for all. Stop hounding the Chief Justice. Stop politicizing the judiciary. Focus on a Ghana that will be attractive for all. Focus on a Ghana that all of us will be proud to be citizens of. Do not think that the power you have will last forever. The power you have is left with 3.5 years. Mr. Speaker, we have had our chance. We've made our mistakes. we have come out with chalk successes, and we admit that we couldn't have been perfect. But the expectation is that you who said you could do it better can do it better for all to see. Mr. Speaker, that said, and without more, I would want to thank you for the opportunity granted me, and may God bless our homeland, Ghana. Thank you.
Honorable Minority Leader, thank you. Thank you very much for your concluding remark. Honorable members, before giving the floor to the Majority Leader, kindly indulge me to acknowledge the presence of visitors at the public gallery. First on the list is Philomena Tete, Mr. Keane, Daniel Tete, Samuel Tete. They are from Brussels, Belgium, all the way coming to our parliament to witness our proceedings. Then we also have Cyril Keane Tete and Curtis Keane Tete. They are also from France. Then I have my own classmate, Lieutenant Colonel Corbier Esquire. Is also in our midst. I will then proceed to give the floor to Honorable Majority Leader for his concluding remark. You also have 45 minutes.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. And let me also thank my colleague, the Minority Leader, for his remarks on the mid-year budget, mid-year review of the budget statement that was presented to this House. The motion before this House is that this Honorable House approves the mid-year review of the budget statement and economic policy of the government of Ghana for the 2025 financial year. Mr. Speaker, I have spent some time in the chamber and listened to the debate by colleagues on both sides of the aisle, and I must say that I have been impressed by the industry and the research that especially our new entrants to the chamber have put into their preparation for the debate. I highly commend our first-timers and their contributions. So, Speaker, we have just listened to my colleague, the Minority Leader, and I think that as he spoke, I recalled our days in this chamber with he and Chairman Sabonsu as majority leaders. Indeed, the beginning and the end of Ghana's economic problems was in Ukraine. I am tempted to believe that the NPP as a party and a government has benefited more from the Ukraine war than even the Russians who started it. I won't be surprised if Ukraine sues NPP, because the NPP has overexploited the war. Mr. Speaker, as I listened to the Minority Leader, I recall vividly sitting on this side and over 88 members of parliament on the MPP side in government petitioning and indeed threatening to leave this house because they wanted their very failed finance minister dismissed. Their finance minister had performed so abysmally that over 88 of them marshaled their numbers and wanted the finance minister deposed. And I am surprised today to hear the minority leader attempt to obliterate that record from our history. I hereby remind you, which finance minister? You are boasting of social intervention programs. Ken Ofori-Atta capped every single social intervention fund in this country. Get Fund was capped, Common Fund was capped, NHI was capped, every social intervention was capped. Road Fund was capped. Mr. Speaker, it is not a question of who started a social intervention program. The question is who most efficiently ran a social intervention program. And I can say with pride and confidence that since assuming office, John Dramani Mahama and his Minister of Finance have demonstrated greater commitment to social intervention than anybody has ever done. We have uncapped Get Fund. We have uncapped Common Fund. We have uncapped NHI Fund. And we have not only uncapped them, but since assuming office, we have been up to date in payments and none of those funds have been deprived of any funds. That is how to demonstrate commitment to social intervention funds. Not to start them, but to sustain them and to execute them to the letter of the laws that establish them. Mr. Speaker, I almost laughed and fell from my chair when he mentioned that President Akufo-Addo constructed 13,000 kilometers of roads. 13,000 kilometers of roads. 13,000 kilometers of roads. Mr. Speaker, that has been clearly debunked. And I want to tell my friend, the minority leader, that no matter how many times you tell a lie, it still remains a lie. There's no number of repetition of a lie that will transform it into a truth. And Ghanaians know that their roads were not done under the NPP. Mr. Speaker, I think that I want to quote the Deputy Managing Director of the IMF, Bo Lee, recently, to give a clear indication of how the NDC government is viewed, not just by those of us on this side of the House, but by people as far away as Washington. Mr. Speaker, the IMF Deputy Managing Director, Bo Lee, issued a statement and said, faced with large policy slippages and reform delays at end of 2024, the new administration has taken bold corrective actions. Please listen. Please listen. This is the IMF speaking. This is not the majority leader. This is not Atufosun. This is not John Dramani Mahama. This is Bo Lee. He says, faced with large policy slippages and reform delays at end 2024, the new administration, that is the administration of President John Dramani Mahama, the new administration has taken bold corrective actions to maintain the program on track. So even the IMF program that you began, you delayed in the implementation of the measures because you were afraid of the 2024 December elections. So there were slippages, there were delays, all the measures that you were supposed to implement, you did not implement them for fear that implementing them may cost you an election that you actually lost in the end. So this is what he said. Combined with ongoing reform efforts and an improved external position, the corrective measures are set to support Ghana in reaching the goals of economic stabilization, rebuilding resilience, and fostering higher and more inclusive growth. The authorities are strongly committed to restoring fiscal discipline and addressing the structural weaknesses that led to the slippages. They have passed a 2024-2025 budget consistent with the program's objectives and enacted and enhanced fiscal responsibility frameworks. Looking ahead, staying in the course of fiscal adjustments and completing the debt restructuring are key to ensure fiscal sustainability. Mr. Speaker, so it is not just the minister, but the IMF have given a clear indication that the measures we have put in place are the right measures. Mr. Speaker, it is not just the IMF. The various credit rating agencies, Fitch, and all of them have given a clear indication that Ghana is on the right path. Ghana's economic reform efforts have received a major boost as global rating agency Fitch upgraded the country's long-term foreign currency issuer default rating IDR from restricted default to B- with a stable outlook. And that is not just Fitch. All the others have given us a very positive rating. Mr. Speaker, civil society groups, everybody knows Imani Ghana. Everybody knows that they are a very impartial organization. When it is A, they say it is A. When it is B, they say it is B. After the Minister for Finance delivers his mid-year review to this Parliament, the President of Imani Africa, Franklin Kujo, clearly threw his support behind the Finance Minister and the policy measures that he has been implementing. Mr. Speaker, when you look at the media review, you will take 10 key points. The media review does not request for extra funds. We're not asking for extra funds. An approval is requested, but the approval is simply based on the fact that there is some multi-year expenditure item and Section 33 of our PFM Act indicates that it has to receive parliamentary approval. Mr. Speaker, very good news reported in the media report. Public debt dropped by 113.7 billion Ghana cedis. Mr. Speaker, the MPP left us with a debt exceeding 726.7 billion Ghana cedis. 726.7 billion cedis. Mr. Speaker, within 5 months of becoming the finance minister, Atuforsen was able to drop this debt up to 113.7 billion Ghana cedis. This is clearly unprecedented. Somebody says that, where did he get the money from? That it is exchange rate. It takes intelligence to know that you can use exchange rate to pay your debts. It takes wizardry, economic wizardry, to know that you can use exchange rate alone to pay a lot of your debt. Why didn't Ofori-Atta use exchange rate to pay the debt? Why didn't Ofori-Atta use exchange rate to pay the debt? Why didn't he? Mr. Speaker, another key point that we take from the media review is that we are going to approach our infrastructure development more intentionally than we have done in the past. So the 55 major stalled infrastructure projects, we will not pursue all of them at once, because if we spread ourselves thinly, given our debt obligations, we might not be able to make significant progress. And so the minister has decided to concentrate on a few of them. Mr. Speaker, the minister is also following up to ensure that we clean the public sector payroll. And he has reported to us that he has conducted a payroll audit. And so far, what the audit reveals is that we have 150 million Ghana cedis in unearned salaries identified. 150 million Ghana cedis in unearned salaries. This highlights the level of corruption that has pervaded our public sector. That we cannot verify 14,000 workers, and that 53,311 separated staff are still drawing salaries. So 53,311 staff who have left the public service, separated, are still earning salaries from government, whilst we cannot verify 14,000 workers. So in all, 450 million Ghana cedis is going as unearned salaries. Mr. Speaker, another major thing that the minister has indicated in the media review is that the sinking fund is going to be populated with funds again. Indeed, I recall when the minister stated that he was going to begin to put US dollars in our foreign accounts and Ghana cedis in our local currency accounts, a colleague minister, a minister of state, shouted, why is he going to do that? All the time when we come, we build these funds, and the day we leave office, and people will come and squander all the funds. Squander all the funds. Why is he going to build another fund again? So the young people will come in future and come and squander all the funds. When the finance minister, when I turned to the minister and I told him that I'm very sure that for a very long time, the young people will not come. Mr. Speaker, the minister has also indicated that major reforms are taking place in the energy sector. Indeed, the Energy Sector Levies Act is expected to yield 2.9 billion, but that is not enough. There is an effort to transition to gas usage so that we can drastically cut down on our energy expenditure. And that is my response to the entreaties of the minority leader that we must address the wastages in the energy sector. Mr. Speaker, when you listen to the media review, one theme runs through the media review, and that is the theme of fiscal discipline. fiscal discipline. Mr. Speaker, by 2023, our economy had gotten to a very critical point. Our debt to GDP ratio had peaked to 84%. Inflation had soared to 54%. Mr. Speaker, I could not believe it to hear that fiscal deficit shrank from 10.7% of GDP in 2022 to 1.1% of GDP in 2025. These are measures that could not have been achieved without painful fiscal discipline. I was also impressed to see that our debt to GDP had also declined from 84% to 43.8%. Mr. Speaker, clearly, I have heard my colleague and the NPP complain about lack of spending. We are not spending. Mr. Speaker, it is true that we are not spending on wasteful expenditures. Mr. Speaker, what is the value? What is the value to the state when you spend 280 million Ghana cedis building a structure that you are supposed to spend 81 million Ghana cedis building? What is the value to the state? So that you can boast that you were spending, and you spent 280 million Ghana cedis to build the Bank of Ghana headquarters when you were told that you could build a structure with 81 million Ghana cedis. Mr. Speaker, what is the value? What is the value of spending? What is the value of spending when you spend hundreds of millions of Ghana cedis to dig a hole in the name of building a cathedral for God? What is the value of spending?